everyone. It feels like I haven't spoken to you for such a long time, but it's only been a few days. And we've just been busy. Our life is going on as much as we can. And I really want to encourage you again. This is not the end, this is the beginning. Lockdown will come to an end, and God is with you in this. And I just pray for peace over your mind and your heart in Jesus' name right now. So we've been talking about the bridegroom and the bride, and especially the bridegroom. And today I want to continue as I share with you again my favorite story, Jesus and the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well. There's so much in this story, and I'm going to try and just stick to what I really believe God is wanting to show you today. This is not about Jesus calling out a woman's sin or her adulterous lifestyle at all. This is about a woman being at the right place at the right time, for her to have an encounter with the Messiah, but also mostly because of God's plan for Samaria. And she didn't know that on this day, when she went to the well, she would meet her Messiah. She was just going on about her normal duties. And there she was at the 6th hour, as the word said, and 6 being the number for humanity, and that's very interesting. And she went at the hottest time of the day because she wanted to go when the other women weren't there. She was just getting away from the gossip and the talk against her life that has been so hard. She'd really gone through a hard time. And she saw that there was a Jewish man at the well, and she must have been relieved when she saw him, actually, because she knew that he was going to ignore her according to custom and religion, and that she could just go on doing her thing and then go home. But as she got there, Jesus did speak to her, and he said to her, "Can you give me water?" And in that question that he asked her for some water, such a simple thing, a need that he had, and in his weakness, because he showed his humanity that he was thirsty and he needed water, he did so much already. And she knew, and she probably thought, why is he talking to me? And she was probably a little bit scared as well of what was going to unfold. And Jesus broke through barriers of racism and culture and religion just by talking to her in his humanity. And so they were going back and forth and having this conversation about water. And a little while ago we spoke about Jesus being our living waters when he says to her, "If you drink from me, you will never thirst again." And by that time she must have realized there's something different about him, because he's not just saying, that I must give him something or serve him. There's so much more to this. And then she says eventually, "Will you give me a drink so that I won't thirst ever again?" And up to this point, Jesus had already been just pressing her a little bit. But now he goes even further, and he starts to pull her beneath the surface, and he starts pulling her in, and he hems her in, because what he's doing now is he starts to show her, reveal to her the knowledge, the intimate knowledge that he has of her life, and that other people have used against her. But here he says it with compassion and sympathy, and he wasn't calling her out at all. And he says to her, "Will you go home and fetch your husband and then come back again?" In those words, Jesus must have known exactly her situation, but he was opening a door with her even further. And then she said, "But I don't have a husband." And he said, "You're right. You have 5 husbands, and you are staying with a man, living with a man." But he knew exactly her circumstances. It wasn't what we always think, that she was a woman living in adultery, shut up with 5 men. No. She was a victim of her circumstances. In those days, it wasn't like now. Women didn't have much of a say. She really just had to go along with what was happening. It was more important for her to survive, to be able to survive and have food and money to live every day. And the men could make a lot of decisions, including divorce. And if she couldn't have a child, she could just be kicked out. Or if her husband died, she would have to marry the next man in the family. And they looked at marriage so differently to what we do. And then, probably because of her circumstances, she's ended up living with this man who's become the man who provides for her, just so that she can survive. There's so much in this. Jesus said it to her without condemnation or criticism. And you know what? She didn't attempt to hide anything from him. She could just be who she was, there with Jesus in that moment. Such a vulnerable moment between the two. And a plan had been set in motion for her to meet her Messiah and for Samaria to be changed and history to be made and the future to be set. What happens then is they start talking about worship, and we've all read that part. But in the end, she leaves and she goes back. And this woman, who in her own community is so insignificant, who is a no one, she's not an influencer or a big community person where she's known as having a lot of success or being very well known for wealth or anything like that. She was just a normal woman, a victim of her circumstances. She was just trying to do the best with what she had and what her life was. But in that moment, she becomes the first woman evangelist, because what happened is, after that happened, where Jesus spoke to her so intimately, he then said to her, "But I am the Messiah." And he revealed to her who he really was. And I'm sure she didn't expect that. She probably knew there was something a little different about him. That here was the Messiah. She was face to face with him. And something happened in her that burst forth in her inner spirit. And she knew that this is life-changing. So she went and told everyone at home about the Messiah, that she met him, and only he knew the details in her life that was so intimate. And because of that, Samaria comes to Jesus, and something amazing happened. And she reached out, and she became the first evangelist and woman missionary, and God used her. And that plan that was meant to be happened. And, you know, earlier on, before this happened, John the Baptist was telling the people that he knows the bridegroom, Jesus, and he's coming, and the bride is his. But he, as John, is just Jesus' friend. He's just the bridegroom's friend. And here the bridegroom went to Jacob's well in the heat of the day, asking for water, but knowing that meeting this woman was going to change a lot of things and set things in motion for people to know that he is the Messiah. And she didn't know that she was going to meet her bridegroom on this day. Never did she think that. So, here we are, his bride, and he is our bridegroom. And you might feel like there's so much about this woman that you have in common with her. But if there's any part of your heart where you cannot believe these truths, and you have no hope for this, then that area is under the influence of a lie, the lies of the enemy. And I just want to now, in Jesus' name, break those lies over your life. And I speak truth over your life, that you are his bride and he is your bridegroom. And that today he wants to set you free, and he wants to heal your heart and restore you. If you have shame in your life, and that feeling that she must have had of such insignificance, I want to tell you that you are significant, that you are so relevant, that in this time it's the right time for you and the right place to be. So in Jesus' name, be free. I just speak freedom over you. Thank you so much for letting me share this with you today again. And I just speak blessing over your life. And I just hope to see you soon again. Thank you.